When you watch old football matches from the 1960s, it almost feels like you're watching a completely different sport. Players seemed to have all the time in the world, defenders didn't press as aggressively, and the game just looked easier. But was football really simpler back then, or has the sport evolved so much that it only seems that way to us today? Today we're looking into all of it, so don't forget to subscribe and like for more. If you would watch, for example, a highlight video of, let's say, Pelé, the first thing you might notice is the state of the pitch. Uneven, muddy, often more dirt than grass. Bounces could easily get unpredictable. Back then, the pitch was almost an opponent of its own. Football wasn't played on carpets, it was played on survival grounds. They didn't have undersoil heating or perfectly manicured pitches like we have today. Also, the ball was tricky, made of thick, heavy leather, stitched together in panels that soaked up water like a sponge. One of these balls could weigh up to 700 grams on rainy days, compared to a modern one that would be around 420 grams. The boots players wore back then were also made in leather. They could feel like carrying weights on your feet. Today's boots are lightweight, flexible, and designed for speed. So it's clear that the equipment made the game tougher. Heavy boots, a heavier ball, and unforgiving pitches. But the real difference wasn't just in what they played with, it was how they played the game and how their bodies were prepared for it. Players weren't full-time athletes. Many of them actually had jobs outside of football. Some worked in factories, others in offices, and training sessions often came after a long day of regular work. Football wasn't the billion-dollar industry it is today. It was just a game, and most of the players lived almost like ordinary people. Even the biggest stars weren't rich by today's standards. Pelé and Di Stefano were icons, but their salaries were nothing compared to what players earn now. In Real Madrid, Di Stefano would earn around $20,000 per year. Compare that with Kylian Mbappé, who currently earns $34 million a year in Real Madrid. The top players from the 60s lived comfortably, but they didn't become generationally wealthy from football alone. The scale of money in football has completely transformed what it means to be a professional player. Today's superstars live in a completely different reality. Football isn't just a sport anymore, it's a global business. Players like Messi and Mbappé are as much brands as they are athletes. Money and research has also changed how players' bodies are cared for. Today, clubs have entire medical teams, nutritionists, and high-tech recovery equipment. Every detail of a player's body is monitored to keep them performing at the highest level. Training was about running laps, a bit of ball work, and maybe a small game. Compare that to today, modern training is science. Every sprint, every lift, everything is tracked, designed to push players to their absolute peak. If you would look at tactics back in the 50s or 60s, they were simple. Teams often lined up in very attacking formations, like the 2-3-5. Defending wasn't nearly as structured as it is today. Players relied more on individual skill and instinct rather than systems and patterns. Coaches gave fewer instructions, and improvisation was part of the game. In modern football, tactics dominate. Most top teams now press high, shift formations, and prepare detailed game plans. It's a sport of systems, not just instinct. One man that changed football philosophy forever was Johan Cruyff. As a player, he became the symbol of total football, a style where positions were fluid, pressing was collective, and intelligence mattered more than strength. But it was when he arrived in Barcelona as a coach in 1988 that his influence reached its peak. At Barcelona, Cruyff built the foundations for a philosophy centered on possession, movement, and creativity. He shaped a way of thinking that inspired generations. Cruyff's student, Pep Guardiola, carried it forward, turning Barcelona into one of the greatest teams of all time. And through La Masia, his ideas shaped players like Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi. Cruyff's fingerprints are still all over modern football. Football has also changed in how players are discovered and developed. In the past, many stars grew up playing on the streets, learning the game naturally. But today, the biggest clubs in the world invest millions into youth academies. Places like Barcelona's La Masia or Ajax's academy don't just create footballers, they create entire football identities. From a young age, players are taught the same philosophy, the same tactics, and by the time they reach the first team, they already play the club's football by heart. Pelé's story, for example, began far from stadiums and academies. He grew up in poverty, playing with a ball made of socks and newspapers, and only 3 years after being discovered on the streets, he scored his first goal for the Brazilian national team. And 1 year after that, he led Brazil to the World Cup victory 1958. Refereeing has also came a long way. Back then, referees had nothing but their whistle and their eyes. And let's be honest, the eyes weren't always perfect. A bad call could change an entire World Cup, and fans would argue about it for decades. Today, referees have headsets, goal line technology, and VAR, which means we can now argue about the slow-motion replay instead. Football has more help than ever, but the debates, they'll never end. So if you're someone that says football in the past was horrible, you're missing the point. The game wasn't played in perfect conditions, but that's exactly what makes it so remarkable. It wasn't about ideal circumstances, it was about passion and making the most of what they had.